Hello, welcome to another video on OpenShift. This time we are going to deploy a web application, but not using the user interface of OpenShift. We are going to use CLI, a command line interface, and we will be looking at the YAML file before creating this web application. The YAML files are all stored in this directory, and let's take a look at those YAML files one by one. So to deploy a web application in OpenShift, you will first of all create an image stream. So this image stream is going to contain the images needed for the application. And then we are going to have a build configuration. So this build configuration will describe how to download the source code from GitHub and how to build it and how to push it into the image stream. And this step will create the build, and with that the image stream will contain the application in the image format. And the next step will be to create a deploy configuration, and this deploy configuration will pull the application image from image stream and will deploy a pod, and that pod will have the application running under the covers. Then we need to create a service and associate it with the web application pod, and then finally create a route for the service so that we can access it from outside. So let's get started. The first step is to log into this OpenShift environment, and here is the command line, the OC login. I will be using kubeadmin as the user ID and its corresponding password, and the URL is API CRC testing. I will be using the code ready container product of OpenShift. So let me hit enter, and the login is successful, and it took me to a project called default. But now I want to create a separate namespace, a separate project for this work. So let me do that. So here is how I can create a namespace in OpenShift. Let me hit enter. The namespace is created. Now the next step is, as we described earlier, we'll create an image stream. Here is a YAML file for the image stream. The kind is image stream, and also there's a name associated with it, the My Flask app old. And here is the namespace that I created a moment ago. So I will be inserting this image stream into OpenShift with kubectl. So here it is. The image stream is now created. Now the next step is to look at the build configuration. So this one is a bit bigger file. So let's walk through this. The most importantly, here is the name of the build configuration, My Flask app old, and the namespace is my project. And the build will be inserted, the image that I'm going to create will be inserted into the image stream that I just mentioned and created. And the source for this build will be coming from GitHub, and here is the URL for the application that I have in GitHub. And I will be using the image stream tag as a kind for the from. So the strategy that I'm going to use to build this is source strategy. This is not a Docker strategy, but under the covers, when this build configuration is built, a Docker file will be created anyway. So we're going to take a look at that. And that is pretty much everything in this configuration. So let's go ahead and then insert this build configuration into OpenShift. So the build configuration got inserted into OpenShift. Now the next step is to build this build configuration, or in other words, start the build. We need to change project to my project. So let's do that. So now I will be using my project. So now I'm going to start the build. And the build started. So now let's take a look at the pods that are created so far. So far we should have seen something in the pod area. So see get pods. So there it is. So this is the pod that got created to build this application. So let us wait for it to complete. And we have to wait for the ready status. It should say 1 out of 1. So what's happening under the covers is the build is downloading the source code from GitHub and then create a temporary internal Docker file, and then it goes and creates the build, rather the image, and inserts it into the image stream. So let's wait for it to get completed. So while the build is running, we can look at the logs of what is going on. So before that, let us do a git git oc get parts. So this build step is still running, and here is the command to take a look at the logs of the build process. So it is successfully downloaded the source code from GitHub, and it is building it right now, and the push is now successful. That means the image stream is ready, and we can proceed to insert the deployment configuration, and that will build the application pod. So now you can see the build pod completed its job. Now let's take a look at the deployment configuration YAML file. So this is also a bit lengthy file, and the most importantly, it contains the image registry. So this line needs to be changed because we just built the image and pushed it into the image repository. Let's take a look at it and copy the URL of that registry image and push it here. So before that, we need to get the image registry image name. So here it is, and we need to get the name of the image. And here is the entire image. I'm going to put it in the DC YAML file. There it is, and I will remove the old one. So to make it clear, this deployment configuration will pull image from this image registry location, and then we'll build a pod for us, and that pod will be running forever, and we can access it through service and route that we're going to take a look at it in a moment from now. So this is it. Let me insert this deployment configuration into OpenShift. Done. Now let us take a look at the pods. As you guessed, the deployment is also through a pod, a temporary pod. So that is what is getting created right now. Let's wait for it to complete. Yeah, it completed, and then it created the application pod, which is the My Flask app old one HRDQ5. Let's keep running this get parts. Okay, now it's all done. So now the pod is available, application pod is available, and we can access it. It is running the web application that we developed in GitHub. So in order to access this application, I need to create a service and also a corresponding route. So how do I do that? Here is the service YAML file, very simple. And this service has the port number associated with it, and also the name of the app. That is my Flask app old. So let me insert this service into OpenShift using kubectl. Service got created, and finally a route. And here is the route YAML file. It contains the service information here. So we are creating a route for this service. Let's go ahead and then do it. So it's done. So now I'm going to see if I can access this web application. I'm going to be using curl command. I can use a browser, but since we are doing everything in a CLI, let's continue with the command line. Curl http my Flask app old my project .apps crc .testing :80. There it is. The application responded, and I got the result from the application printed here. This is a string returned by the web application. So this is how you deploy a web application. And this time we went a bit deeper and we played with the YAML files, and we understand more what's happening under the covers. So now if I do get parts, I should see 3 parts. 2 of them are completed. One is for build, the other one is for deploy, and third one is the application part. And these are the files that I played with. I started with image stream, and then a build configuration, and then a deployment configuration, and finally service and route. When I inserted build configuration, then started the build, it created a build object. And when I inserted deployment configuration, and it automatically created the pod, it automatically also created the replication controller also. And finally, when I inserted service, it created a service object, and route created a route object. And using the route object, I am able to access my web application. I hope you enjoyed this video. You also understood how a web application is getting installed inside OpenShift and made available to outside world. I will see you all in another video. Bye for now.